Okay, so first of all, thank you, gentlemen, so very much for joining my podcast. I am super pumped that both of you agreed to do this. This actually wasn't my idea. This was my husband's idea. He's like, I've got a great idea for one of your podcasts. And I thought that was brilliant. I was a bit nervous to ask you guys, but you both jumped on it right away, said no problem. So thank you so much. Tommy, you're actually in the Banff Springs Hotel as we speak. You're in the middle of the Banff Wellness Retreat. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later on. But first of all, I wanted to just introduce to whoever's listening exactly who you are. So Brent, you just give us a go about who you are, how long you've been in the industry, and then we'll move into Tommy.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Brent Bishop. I'm situated in Toronto. I'm from the West Coast originally. I think vice versa with Tommy, I believe.
Yep.
And I've been in the industry. I'm going to date myself here, but geez, it's well over 25 years. Started out in the Vancouver area, working for a company there, and then got transferred to California for about a year. Decided to do my own thing. Came out to Toronto, and I've been here ever since. My whole approach is just to inspire the active lifestyle through fitness, adventure, and media. So those are the three segmentations that I do within the industry. I'm the fitness expert on Cityline here, which is a national sort of daytime lifestyle show, which is a lot of fun. I tend to do a lot of sort of lifestyle-oriented campaigns and retreats as well, which I know we'll talk about later. And that's kind of my passion, just helping people be exposed to fitness, whatever that is for them, and be as active as they can. Another aspect of things that I do with my studio, I'm the founder of Think Fitness Studios here in Toronto. And we like to gently push people out of their comfort zone to even try events like bucket list events. So we've done, Kilimanjaro, Machu Picchu, Grand Canyon, Costa Rica. So we always try to plan something that gets people out of their normal framework, something that they can actually train for. So a lot of them are races or big hikes, things like that. Just big accomplishments that you come back from and you're never the same after in a positive way. So I think in a nutshell, that's me.
I love it. That's amazing. Thanks, Brent. How about you, Tommy?
Well, I've also been in the industry for a long time. I'll update myself also. I might be a little bit older than Brent. Fitness has been a part of my life forever. I played professional football for 11 years and then transitioned into fitness. Along the way, I've had a couple television shows, The Last 10 Pounds Boot Camp and Bulging Brides, which were reality-based shows, obviously focused on helping people lose weight quickly but effectively and building lifelong habits. Fitness for me is a backbone. I've created my own philosophy, the Shred philosophy for strength, heart, resilience, efficiency, and discipline. All 5 of those factors are part of every success story. And just, I go about ways of, expressing myself through different boot camps. I've traveled the country, doing Shred boot camps. I've been to every province and up north and places that I never thought I would find myself. I've been doing retreats for the last 5 years with Evolve Retreat Co. And then now obviously doing the stuff with Fairmont, Banff Springs. And yeah, that's my passion. I'm also a stunt actor for the last 16 years. So when I'm not training people, I am trying to rehab myself from falling.
Wow.
That's me in a nutshell.
Wow, that's amazing. I feel quite honored to be in the likes of both of you. You're very well established and very well known in the industry. Both Tommy and Brent were nominated as Impact Magazine Canada's top trainers. Now, what year do you remember? Was it the first year?
I was the first 2.
First 2, and Brent?
I believe I was 2018.
Okay, yes.
Don't quote me on that.
And that was like, yeah, I know. It doesn't time go by so fast?
Way too fast, yeah.
I know, it's crazy. I know. I think all 3 of us were nominated the same year. And so do both of you teach? So are both of you still training people face to face then?
Yep. I mean, I have a team here at my studio that does most of the training, but to be honest with you, I started training a lot more once COVID hit. In terms of like getting a virtual. So, it opened up the barriers to training people. I got people in California, New York, Vancouver, where I would only generally see them when I would go visit and then put them on a program. Now it's every week, it's so accessible, and we're all aware that virtual is an option. So I'm busier with the training than I have been for some time, but yeah, I still do some training. I have my own clients that I work with. Yeah.
I'm in the same kind of boat. Once COVID came in, it was all gone to virtual training. My client base now is primarily actors, because I am in the film industry, and I do have a name throughout the industry as a stunt performer, and then obviously working on all these shows. I know a lot of the leads, and they'll kind of reach out to me when different actors are in town for movies. So that part of it for me is a lot of fun. I've also I used to travel around doing boot camps for years. Now I do it more virtually, so it's all virtual boot camps, and that kind of took off through COVID as well. And just nice, easy ways to get people moving where they don't need to be in a gym. They can do body weight stuff, and they can add as much variety as possible. And I think with the two of you guys as well, and then obviously you guys are coming up to Banff Springs as well, it'll give everybody a nice range. And some of the things that I've done out here, I know we'll get into that a little bit later on, is just showing people what they can do with minimal equipment to none.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that has been one of the biggest changes in this because of COVID, but also because of all of the changes in the industry over the past, I'd say probably decade, just how easy it is for people's favorite trainer to have access to their favorite trainer. It doesn't need to be in the same area or city. You literally can train with whoever you want now, virtually, which is fantastic. Now, do both of you, when you say virtually, do you use some sort of app, or is it literally like you're live training them face to face instead of in the same room? You're just doing it over a computer. Is that what you're doing, both of you?
I mean, for me, it's a combination of both. So Tommy probably did this too with the program.
Same.
Is over the course of COVID, I had some more time to actually create content. So I've created a series of videos that I will, you can package them for clients or even use just one-offs. Here's a mobility program to work on that, so that they can get that. They can put you on their TV and they can follow you. And get it that way, or the live on the screen is the other aspect of what I do. So it's a combination of the two, and I like it. I like the combination. Actually, it works well.
Yeah, same here. I mean, for me, it's both the same. Initially, it was the online training that I provided was, I have a bunch of content and a bunch of work exercises, and I put a lot of programs together. So anybody who wants to train with me online, they'll get their personalized app, so they get things sent directly to them. They can message me directly. And then obviously when COVID came in, then started adding some more live one-on-one. So I'm in my gym, wherever I am, you're in your gym or your house or you're outside, and I can see exactly what you're doing, just as if you were right beside me, but you could be halfway around the world. So I think that's great for trainers. That's great flexibility for clients as well. And the response has been great. And I see that combination of both live, in person, and virtually, taking place, consecutively throughout the future.
Amazing. That's so cool. Now, I want to take advantage of having both of you on this podcast, because you obviously, with all your experiences, have so much knowledge through the years of training some certain individuals. So I want to because we do have a couple of types of people listening: beginner type trainers who are just getting in the industry. I don't know if you guys ever have people reaching out to you, but I have quite often new trainers reaching out to me asking if they can do quick interviews and want to learn how I started. They always have so many questions. And I think it would be incredible if I could have both of you sort of shed some light or if you have any specific suggestions on that new trainer that's just stepping into this industry, if you would have maybe a little bit of advice for them on how to get started, what's made you so successful, just to kind of steer some of these new fellow instructors and trainers in the right direction. So Brent, why don't you go ahead if you have any top suggestions for the people who are listening?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for me is when I got started, just to make sure that it is something you're passionate about. It's something that you would do regardless of whether you got paid. You would want, maybe you're helping your friends, you don't necessarily know exactly everything about the fitness and exercise, but maybe you enjoy helping people. So that's got to be a key foundation of how you start. And then from there, you do have to layer in some education. You do have to be always learning. Tommy and I are still always learning. I'm sure same with you, Tish. Always looking at what the latest techniques are, that type of thing. I mean, in terms of certifications, I'm happy. I know obviously I'll give my information at the end of this, but I'm happy if people want to contact me on, what are the best certifications or what path did I take. But you want to make sure you do have a nationally recognized certification, both from a insurance standpoint, but also just to get that knowledge, that base knowledge. And then really it's going to layer in with experience. I'm a big proponent of being part of a team. That's why I've always created a team, because even me, I hire somebody new and I'm learning stuff that I had no clue of. And it's just amazing. So it continues that growth as opposed to being, a solo army. I mean, that's good too, as long as you're accessing the right people for growth, and you really want to do that, and then, from that, you got to be aware now, especially post-COVID, things are a little bit different. There is a little bit of every man for himself, every woman for herself type of, direction that certain aspects of the industry are going. It can be good and it can be not so good. It depends if you're, for me, I've changed my model a little bit here. I have people that work for me at Think Fitness Studios, but I also have some trainers now coming in that are vetted, that are actually just renting space. And it's a good model. Everybody meshes together. And so that's been my sort of recent change in terms of the way it's structured. But yeah, you got to enjoy it. You got to keep inspiring yourself, keep challenging yourself. And if you have a passion for helping people, it could be the right industry for you.
Yeah, you absolutely nailed it on it. You have to have that passion for people, because I think what happens is a lot of people think that this job is glamorous and super easy, and you just show up and you really, I'm sure you both would agree, and I don't train in a studio anymore, but when I did, I always would say to the instructors or the new trainers, you have to really genuinely be interested in the person that you're training, and if you're not, you need to make sure that you're letting them train with someone else, because they'll pick up on it, but also you're the person in the studio that's representing you as a business. And so if you're looking distracted, or if you're on your phone, if you're sitting, the people who are watching you as a trainer, probably thinking about hiring you, will think, wow, that person just doesn't really seem to even give two shits about who he's training.
You can tell when somebody's involved.
You totally can, 100%. And people will figure that out right away. They can spot. So that genuine interest in wanting to help people, I think, is the difference between someone who is successful in this industry and who is not. And I absolutely also agree with you, Brent. The learning from people around you is key. I agree with you. I think we all need to be certified. This industry is quite funny in the fact that if you look good, you sound good, you can call yourself whatever you want online. You can be a trainer nowadays, and I have a real struggle with that in this industry. Is people really don't care what your certifications are, what your education is. I think in the 30 years I've been doing this, I've been asked 2 times my education and experiences. People zero. Wow. Right. It's amazing. And I fight a little bit with that, just because, people are going to hire you based more on the likability, the connection, who you are as an individual. And so, and not everyone will have the gift of encouraging, motivating, and really making an impact in people's lives. And so to have that and to also have the accreditation behind your name is challenging. But it's so nice that you also kind of talk about the importance of having some sort of education and then just feeding off people's education and experiences and learning from a team. That's huge. And that's something that I really miss. I did my biggest learning when I was the first 10 years, which was a long time ago, at the Talisman Center. I mean, it was, I think back then it was Lindsay Park Sports Center. Probably both of you know about this facility. I think it's the second most used facility in North America, or at least I know it was. I was there for 10 years, and the best of the best were in that facility training people. Back then, we're talking 30 years ago, people didn't have trainers. It was it was like an elitist thing. Now it's completely different. There's ways that people can afford it, doing small group training, etc. But back then it was like only the top, percent of people in the gym were actually paying an instructor or a trainer to train them. And and so anyway, the best of the best in the industry in the city, obviously, were there. And I could not believe the amount of, even though I was educated, I have a kinesiology degree, my brain was getting exploded with so much of the information that I was learning through just watching other trainers. So I think that's also a really important thing. And it is true. This industry evolves and changes so much, so quickly, that if you don't surround yourself with a good team that's constantly keeping up, it's a industry that really can catch up on you pretty quickly. So those are awesome. Thanks, Brent. Now, Tommy, what would be your suggestions? Not everyone can be a celebrity and an actor and just like have people coming at you, with business. I think that's amazing. But what would be sort of your recommendations to some of the new instructors and trainers out there?
Yeah, definitely to piggyback on what you both kind of said, education is key. Having some sort of a base. But at the same time, I know a lot of book smart trainers that are terrible trainers, because the book says this, but in reality, things don't generally happen that way. So once you do have your certification, that's step one. Step two, whether you're joining a team, for myself, just because of my situation, I was always an independent trainer. So training at facilities like Brent's or something like that, coming in, doing my own thing. But at the same time, you're seeing other trainers, you're around other professionals, you're seeing different things that are happening. So for new trainers, I think the biggest mistake they make is they'll see stuff, whether it's other trainers, or go to a conference and be like, oh, that's cool. And they'll do everything, they'll use everything that they just used without really knowing what it's for, and just trying to, add it organically. I'll look at different things. And, Brent does a great job. He does, especially during COVID, he's doing different things with a bar and plates and different things. It's like, that's a great idea. It kind of sparks your interest. And if, one of the things that stood out that Brent said, if you're passionate about it, you're going to want to do more. You're constantly going to want to learn and constantly going to want to evolve. Things get better, things improve. And, when I show people different things and different techniques, it's not saying that another technique doesn't work, but this is one that I found that is more efficient and safer for you. So as a trainer, the more you can kind of educate yourself and educate your clients at the same time, the more successful you're going to be in the long term. And also, one of the big things I see trainers do is it's the burnout. So yeah, you can work 10 hours a day, and you can do that for a while, but at some point you are going to burn out. So start off slow. And, if you're starting off with a smaller workload and then start to gradually increase, and then whether you want to start up your own facility or join a team, or one of the things that I've done over the years is I subcontract trainers. So if I'm overloaded with stuff, if I have filming opportunities or something like that, I will send my clients actually to other trainers and I don't have to tell them what to do. I just give them the profile of the client. Here's what we're working towards. Here's some, here's their capabilities. I trust the other trainer to do whatever they're going to do. Because for myself, I don't have the time to kind of teach other trainers and then, grow them and build them that way, because I don't have my own facility. But those are some of the things to kind of think of as a trainer, what you want to do, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. And one thing that I try to do every year, I learn something new of something that I don't know much about in the fitness industry. So whether that's, nutrition, during COVID, it was a lot of mobility. My body's always banged up. So just learning how to treat myself will help you with working with other people as well, because a lot of things are kind of common. And finally, stick within your scope. I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a dietitian. So if you want a complete plan, I'm going to send you to one. I can give you guidelines and stuff of what to do and what to eat. And, you can include this or that. But if you want something specific, here's a professional. This is what they do. I'm going to send you there. I'm not going to try to be the jack of all trades, because it's just you do your clients a disservice, and you're going to weaken your credibility because you're talking about things that you really don't know as much about, and you're not updated to the changes. So that's 100% point.
Huge. I mean, that is a huge thing. I always, I always think when I see people trying to go outside of their scope, I always say, guys, just stay in your own lane and do what you're good at. And it's okay not to be an expert in everything, because it's literally impossible. So I think that's a huge point. The other thing I loved that you mentioned, Tommy, was the exercise safety, and how it is really easy to fall into, speaking for myself, of course, it's very easy to see something online, for example, and go, wow, that is such a cool exercise. And I think that is why a lot of trainers are very successful, especially the online trainers, because they're very creative. They come up with these awesome movements, which is not me. I'm the opposite. I'm the meat and potatoes, old school girl. Like, we got to learn the basic lifts, and sure, we can add some variety and some funkiness to the moves. But if you don't know how to do the deadlift, the squat, the push up properly, then we shouldn't be really worried about all the fancy gimmicks, Tommy.
And your typical client will not be able to do the fancy gimmicks. If you if you're training athletes, that's completely different. But your typical client, they're not going to sit there and try and want to jump on a stability ball and, do some of the crazy stuff that, it's amazing stuff for a very small percentage of the population who have a big exercise history. They know what they're doing functionally. As a coach, you're adding some extra bells and whistles. So don't think that you have to do all these crazy things. And if you look on Instagram and, I started kind of changing some of the things that I post on Instagram as far as exercises, because sometimes I put stuff, which was, really cool stuff, but the majority of people can't do it. And then automatically you're out of there like, oh, he's a great trainer, but I can't do any of his stuff.
Yeah, or they're scared to train with you. So like, I'm not doing all that.
Yeah, it's crazy. So
yes,
stay within your realm, and add different modifications and things when it's appropriate for your client, and you'll kind of know you constantly want to challenge them. And I ask questions. Hey, anything you want to work on? Any questions you have about anything that we're doing? Do you feel like you're pushed? Or you want to go a little bit harder? Talk to your client. It's a constant give and take. And, some days they're going to be on top of their game and some days they're not. And as a trainer, you have to and that's why I say between a book smart trainer and a practical trainer, sometimes I'll go into the session, okay, I know I want to work on 3 things. So I might have the first, couple exercises scripted. And then after that, I'm going with the flow, depending on how my client feels. And I see how they're moving. Oh, they got energy today. I can do this. I'm going to up the ante. Oh, they're not having a great day. I'm going to, that way you don't set them up for failure. And they always leave feeling accomplished, as opposed to like, oh, I couldn't do anything today.
100%.
And that's not the attitude and energy that you want coming from your client.
That's a really good point. I think adaptation is, being being adaptable and realizing that, yeah, we have all these weights and kettlebells, and these are all just tools. Really, it's about person. It's about personality. It's about, it's a people business. If you're not a people person, as Tommy was alluding to, like the book smart, it's great to have the education. But if you're not a people person, you're not going to be able to adapt to how somebody is, different personalities. Some people you have to, I know, Tommy, you can attest to this, you have to pull some people back and say, look, you're working too hard, you're going to injure yourself. And then others, they don't have the confidence, even though they can do 5 push-ups, they think they can only do 1. It's that type of thing. So you got to set up those small wins, build the confidence, and see the live change from that aspect. But it's so
when
important.
You say,
100%.
Yeah, when you say small wins, that's a great one, because regardless of how my clients do every day, especially if they're like, I'm like, you know what? You were here today. That's a win. Every workout is a win.
That's
regardless of how you think you performed, it's a win, because you could have been sitting on your couch.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. It's funny. I the first time really I've had any interaction with both of you, and I sit here listening to you talk and describe your experiences and your philosophies, and I just think, wow, I'd be so excited to train with either of you. I can tell you it'd be so much fun, but also such great communicators with your clients. And that's the key. You said that, Tommy, educating your clients. And that is the most important thing as well. And I wanted to just make sure that the people who are listening understand that the fancy exercises are great, but the trainer needs to be able to educate and explain why you're doing that specific exercise. And if they can't, and they're just throwing things at you because it's funky and new and refreshing, and maybe you're getting bored, and I'm reading that maybe my client's getting a bit bored and start throwing all this stuff. If the trainer is not able to educate their client as to why they're doing certain movements, then you really need to take a step back and reevaluate why you're doing certain things. And I think that the education component is so important, but also that connection with treating people as human beings while you're training them is so important. So awesome topics and great answers. Thanks, guys. Now I'm looking at the time. It is 27:30. I do have to go live for Impact Magazine in about 15, 20, no, actually about 30 minutes. So I want to make sure we do cover the retreat. Now, Brent, you're starting, you're starting next week. When do you, so you're flying into Calgary and then driving to Banff? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I fly in Saturday morning. And so I got a couple of days to relax and, unwind a little bit, hopefully, and then start Monday. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. And then, and then do you know what your class structures are going to be? Have you already decided what you're going to do for those sessions?
So on the 4 days, and again, if I mix up the days, I might mix up the days, but I have the first day I know is more of a sort of a core posture, that type of approach. So it's not a super intense HIIT workout or anything like that, but it's, getting the body going, making sure we're focusing on strong joints, stabilization, core, that type of thing. And then the next day, I believe, is more of a strength and endurance approach. And then the third day is impact HIIT. So it is a HIIT style training session where you're going to be brought up to wherever that level is for you. And you're going to get that sort of anaerobic aspect out of it, where your heart rate's going to be up, a little bit of interval training.
Sweet.
And then the last day, I believe, is more related to, I think it's a combination of things. I can't remember what I called it, to be honest with you, but it's kind of taking all those aspects of the first 3 days and combining them into more of a fun workout, which I like to keep part of as a secret.
Yeah, that's amazing. I actually, I'm very impressed that you know your schedule, because I was sitting here thinking, I don't remember what I said I was going to be doing. So on a
it just came out of my head. I mean, I did plan, I sent in my topics of each day, but I didn't know I'd remember until you asked the question.
Right. Yeah. I was like, wow, that's impressive.
It still works up here. It still works after all these years.
Are you planning, and Tommy,
Yes.
you're into, this is your third day. You have one more day. No, you're leaving tonight.
Day 4. This is day 4.
Oh, day 4.
I started on, I flew in Sunday night because I was working on a show. and started Monday. Monday was and there's an 8 a.m. class and a 4 p.m. class. And then there's a fireside chat in the evening. So Monday was body weight. And for me, not knowing everybody that's in the class, it's a good way to kind of gauge how people move, who I have to pay more attention to. There's a few new people each time, but that's what I use Monday for, kind of body weight core, and show people some new and different ways of moving and doing exercises. Second day, I incorporated some resistance bands, which showed people different things that they can do because we all used to travel. We will travel again. So just even bring a resistance band in your bag, you'd be amazed at how many different things you could do. Yesterday, I used the Libert HIIT system, which was, a shock to a lot of people of how hard that type of training can be. And today it was a mixed bag. So a little bit of resistance bands, a little bit of core, a little bit of cardio, just to kind of wrap things up nicely, and just gives everybody a wide range of things of tools and exercises that they can incorporate into their fitness regimes.
Awesome. Now, when you say bands in the Libert system, did they supply that equipment for you, or did you bring it?
I brought my resistance bands, and I had some stuff from Libert that he sent me, and had a couple giveaways for stuff like that, and Sierra Sil. So yeah, it's been a great 4 days. I've got one more class to go, and I might get a little massage here at some point today as well.
Oh, that sounds nice. And Brent, are you bringing? Yeah, absolutely. Brent, are you bringing any equipment? I wasn't going to, but maybe I should.
Well, I should have some mini bands there, sent there. So I got to double check to make sure that does happen. But for the most part, I will do. I'll use mini bands for some strength work, some endurance work. But body weight will be a big portion of it as well, because I want people to be, just like Tommy said, be able to do these things and add these tools to their repertoire without having a whole bunch of different pieces of equipment.
100%. Yeah, I'm all about teaching people how easy it is to move with your own body. And it's actually way harder than putting someone in a machine. And then, Tommy, what is the fireside conversation? What is that exactly?
Well, the fireside chat is we did it the first 2 days. Didn't do it yesterday, and then obviously I'm not doing it today because I have to go to the airport after the class. But just an introduction of yourself to the group, answering questions. I told them a little bit about my philosophy, and obviously spoke about the shred philosophy, which is constantly reshaping itself. But those 5 pillars are the main drivers. And yeah, just kind of so they know where you're coming from. When the second day, there was a couple actual trainers that were attending, so they had more trainer-based questions. So that was kind of interesting, similar to what we kind of spoke about today, and just dealing with different training types. So the fireside chat, it's no pressure, it's casual, sitting in chairs and just kind of just talking.
Awesome. That's great. Now, Tommy and Brent, I do actually, and I did say this when we were texting each other the last few days, I did want to touch, and you have mentioned both of your philosophies today, I did want you to talk a little bit more about your Shreds program. Tommy, you talk about the 5 pillars, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit more about what that is. And then Brent, obviously, you'll be up next.
Definitely. So Shred, for those who know me, again, strength, heart, resilience, efficiency, and discipline. Ballpark, when I talk about strength, I'm really focusing on mental strength and kind of adding in visualization. And that goes for anything, any goal that you want to be successful in. You have to see yourself being successful in it, and, mentally planning all the different obstacles that you're going to have to deal with. And that way, exactly what's happening coming into it. And if you're mentally strong, you're going to get through anything. Heart, going all in. It's 100%. It's not 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's if you want a goal, go for it. There's no fear of failure. As I said, every workout's a win. So just keep on going and keep that long-term approach. Resilience, dealing with the obstacles that will happen. Could get sick, could get injured. What are you going to do in that case? So resilience is kind of, really digging down deep and looking at your goals, whatever they are, and just, forcing yourself to kind of push through anything that, kind of slows you down or deters you. They say when one door closes, another one opens, but the hallway is a bitch. Efficiency, finding ways to be as efficient as possible. So, full body exercises, shortening down your workouts, so that you can incorporate everything, adding in your nutrition, putting things together, whatever you need to do to make this change or this journey as easy as possible and as efficient as possible. That's what you have to do. Walking a little bit extra to work, parking a bit further, things like that. And finally, discipline. Without discipline, you have nothing. You will not you won't be motivated all the time, but if you have the discipline to stick to the plan and trust the process, you will be successful in what you're doing. So that's what Shred is all about. And, I am actually in the process of writing another book, which is loosely titled The Shred Project.
I love it. That's amazing. I can't believe you came up with all of that with such a cool name that's pertaining to our industry. That's impressive.
It didn't come as one. It didn't come all at the same time. I've had mentors that I've worked with, and I was using Shred before I actually had the acronyms to it.
Okay.
And, I can remember when he said, he's like, oh, so Shred Boot Camp. And, it's like, oh, it's a fitness term. And da-da-da. He's like, but what does it mean? I'm like, what are you talking about? What does it mean to you? And I was like, oh. So, took a lot of thought and just, life experiences and things that I've gone through, prepping to play professional football. And then, retiring from that, doing that for 11 years, then getting into fitness and, having a TV show and things like that. And then getting into acting and doing stunts. These are things that, 20 years ago, I wouldn't be able to tell you that here's what, only thing I knew I was going to do or wanted to do was play football. That was my main goal growing up. And that was my main driver. Everything else that kind of spilled off after that is really a result of Shred and just kind of, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to be the best and not the best who's doing it. I'm going to be my best because that's the only thing that I can control. Can't control anything else, but giving my all and my passion. And just like the two of you, if you're passionate, it's gonna show. You're gonna have a following, just like all of you do, and it's gonna be continued success in the long term.
Yeah, sorry about the dogs barking. My apologies. You can tell. I can tell that you are used to being in front of the camera and just going with the flow. I organized the dog walker and my husband to meet outside, so there was no barking, but apparently that didn't go as planned. So my apologies. Yes. So my apologies. You're just like so good though, like just super chill. You didn't even react at all to the barking, and I'm sitting here going, "Oh my God,
he's in
I'm
the
so
shred
sorry."
mode. Shred mode.
Equanimity.
Yes, my gosh, I'm so impressed. I need to. You need to be my mentor and how to stay grounded and calm during these moments and where I'm like, oh no, this is not good. But whatever.
In moments of chaos. In moments of chaos,
yeah, absolutely.
You gotta keep your mind calm.
So good.
So
I
true.
love that. I did notice actually your post on Instagram about your meditations place. I was like, this guy even likes to meditate. I'm impressed.
I do. And it, actually, that really increased through COVID. Obviously, I've played around with it over the years, but it was really when COVID came in that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make a pact to do this every day. And it's every day at some points. I mean, it's best first thing when you get up. Sometimes I do let it slide a little bit, but I will get back into it, and I actually do it in noisy places now, where I'll just kind of see if I can meditate and stick to my breathing.
That's when you know you're seasoned.
Yeah, I'm impressed. Wow. Tommy, you're a multi-layered individual, way more than I thought. So this has been a pretty interesting conversation getting to know you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I totally agree with all of those acronyms. I love that you talk about the mental aspect. It is so important, especially with what's been going on over the last 20 months. It is way more important than I ever realized. And thank goodness we have fitness to keep our mental wellness on track. And hopefully for the people who are not, making efforts to make sure that their health is on track, please make sure that you do start taking care of yourself, because it does really help the mental aspect of your wellness as well. So thank you for talking about that. Is so important. Now, Brent, I want to hear about your philosophies. I've been actually dying to hear about sort of your kind of mindset and all of that.
Sure. I will say to those listening as well that, if you're having trouble getting your health on track, hire somebody. Just hire somebody to help you. And Tommy talked about mentors. It doesn't matter what level you're at. We can't be proficient in everything. So when it comes to health, you got to take that serious and hire somebody if you need the help. But
absolutely,
yeah, this is why Tommy and I really relate, because everything he's saying, it's some aspect of also the way I think and my mindset. I'm a big believer that, the mind can stop you or start you. And for a lot of us, it stops you in different areas, right, for different people. But as coaches and as professionals in this industry, I think, if you're really attuned with people and this is something that you're meant to do, you can kind of find that. You can see that in people when they're stopping themselves. And then that's when you lean in a little bit more and help them a little bit more, right? And when they're preventing themselves. And you can see when that spark is there and they're going straight forward. And as Tommy mentioned with the exercises, I can throw in, they got energy today. You kind of feel that and you go with that flow. So my philosophy in my studio is called Think Fitness Studios for one main reason. It's think fitness. So, 80% mental, 20% physical. If you can put your mind on a goal or something in the future that you want to achieve, it's really not that difficult as long as you have a great program, you have the discipline, as Tommy talked about, you're inspired to do it. But it's that 80% mental that you got to get over that. That's what's going to drive you. That's what's going to keep you moving forward. That's where you're going to get those highs and check in with those lows sometimes where you need extra help. So that's the big approach for me. And, the reason why I always encourage people to do events, which kind of falls into this mindset, is because it's one of those things that actually, if you can set an actual destination, as opposed to, I want to lose 20 pounds or I want to gain, I don't know, I want to be able to bench press 225, whatever it is. If you can have an event, whether it's a hike, a 5K, a marathon, whatever level, whatever sport or whatever type of performance-driven event, then those other things come along with it, right? While you're training for that 5K, you're building confidence, your endurance is going up, your strength is going up. You're propelled to do it because on that date at that time, you have to do this event and you don't want to be ill prepared to do it. And then when you cross the best part, when you cross that finish line is when you realize all the work that you've done prior to has all led up to this. And you can never go backwards, right? So you've done 5K. You can never now say, I haven't done 5K. Yes, you have. And quite often what I see is people, tears as they cross the finish line and it's like, I want to do 10K next. Or, I want to do that big bucket list next year and hike the Himalayas or whatever it is. So it changes you as a person. And I say this so passionately because I put myself through things that I'm like, what the hell am I doing at a 250-kilometer race in the Costa Rican jungles?
Heart. That's the heart.
The only thing that got me through that after my body broke down, I had no soles on my feet. That kind of stuff is up here. It's up here. And, to layer it in even more, if you attach a charity or something that's very, personal to you, where, maybe you're raising funds for, that takes it to a whole nother level. Because now you're not just helping yourself and your own goals, but you're changing a lot of people's lives by doing it and creating a lot of awareness. So, I'm very passionate about the performance aspect of things and the think fitness approach. It's not the fitness is an afterthought, but it's about this, and I wrote a book called The Think Factor. And funny enough, as Tommy's mentioned, he's doing a second book. I was supposed to do my second, you're supposed to do a second book right when you finish your first book so you get that momentum. Well, I was that guy that I was all gung-ho to do it. And I started and then, a whole bunch of stuff happened and it's been 8 years. So anyway, I got a half-written book that I'm just started picked up again. But the idea with the Think Factor is this. It's everybody has something inside themselves that makes them tick. Okay, so it could be, you've played baseball as a child and you put a baseball hat in your hand, or your baseball bat in your hands, and you all of a sudden you feel like you get that spark. Or it could be a movie that you see and you come out and you feel like you want to make a big change because you're so inspired by it. And the point with this is that motivation is short-lived, and I think Tommy talked about that. Is you cannot maintain motivation without being inspired. And if people realize that you have to continually search for those inspiring moments or for that inspiration, that's how you regain that motivation. And then the discipline becomes easier, right? So what I tend to do is I structure everything in a quarterly system. So every 3 months, it's a reevaluation of your fitness and your health. So just different parameters based on the individual's goals. And then it's a revamp of the program. It's another goal, it's a tangible goal, whether it's some performance event or something that we can really hold on to and work towards, and it's testable. And that way you're always adding that variety. You're switching up the game plan and re-inspiring somebody. Maybe they want to try a different activity now. They've never skied. It's ski season. Let's get prepped for that. Let's try it. And all of a sudden they love it. Or you introduce boxing, and that's a big one. People love to box sometimes. So it's really built around inspiration and knowing that your motivation is going to die down at some point. And if you know that, you can prepare for that. You can do huge things. And the book that I wrote, and the reason why I wrote it this way, I followed 3 clients, all different levels. One was big time weight loss. The other one was rehab injury. The other one was a performer on stage who would need to sing and keep the breath and move and stuff like that. Anyway, all different personalities, which is a key thing in this industry. And, it was taking them through the 4 stages of becoming fit. So there's the dreamer phase, there's the doer phase, there's the plateau phase, and there's the breakthrough phase. And so it takes this whole think fitness approach and systematically through the book and takes each of these individuals through those 4 phases to become their own breakthrough phase. And,
wow.
And I'll leave with this. What's interesting with that is, I always say, don't think about it as you hit that breakthrough phase and then that's it. It's all just roses and whatever from there. No. Now you go back to another phase at another level, like how Tommy introduced different areas of his career, right? It's not everything at once. So it's always an evolution of who you are, who you want to become, and the people that you touch.
Wow. You guys, I'm so incredibly in awe of both of you. You're Canada's top trainers for a reason. I have really, really enjoyed getting to know. And I love the fact that both of you were so passionate about the mind aspect of training and how important that is. And I think that comes along with your experience, that you don't really understand or appreciate how important that mind connection is to success, to people's success. So it is. It really is. And so, and I do honestly, I think that really separates the difference is that's what separates the experienced trainer that has actually had time with a lot of people with all different experiences, all different levels. That is what makes you really dial into that mental wellness part of it and the mind aspect of it. So that is huge. I honestly, I just said it again. I have to be honest. Someone told me on the podcast, don't keep saying that, Tish. You should be talking honest all the time. But honestly, I had no idea that was where this conversation was going to go. I literally had a dialogue with the two of you, frantically trying to set up dates, finally got it in, and then we were like on here. So the fact that we were able to really touch upon that part of it is just awesome for me. So I'm so appreciative of it. And I know the people that were listening will be so encouraged and motivated. And I'm sure that you're going to have a lot of people connecting with you after this. So thank you so much. And I really appreciate, especially Tommy, I know that you're in the middle of doing the retreat. I know there's probably more downtime now than it is when you're at home, which we spoke about. And Brent, you are one busy guy. So I know that you have to run and get to another session. So I'll leave it at that unless you guys have anything else that you want to add. Make sure that you check out all of the links underneath this podcast, all of Tommy's information, his website, Brent as well. All of that will be underneath this podcast. So please make sure that you click on all those links to learn more about Tommy and Brent. And also the retreat that's happening with Tommy. It sounds like you've had an awesome time.
Very good time. Wild Wellness Week.
Awesome. Love it. And then Brent's taking off next week, and then I'll be there the following week. I'm kind of sad that we won't be able to actually see each other physically, but maybe someday we'll actually, it would be really fun. Someday that'll happen. Tommy, I'm not too far from you. I'm in Kelowna, so it's only a 4-hour drive from there, but someday we will.
Give you a heads up the next time I'm rolling through K-Town.
Please do. And I would love to. We'll hit a couple wineries, and I don't even know if you drink, but we'll have a soda if you don't. And
Brent was like,
I'm not saying anything. I'm waiting for Tommy to speak first.
It's all about balance, right, guys?
You got to have fun too.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, well, on that note, I'll say goodbye. Guys, stay on here just for a second. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast, and we will talk to you all very, very soon.